Hi, Professor. Today, this is our presentation, and we want to talk about a field that's deeply tied to all of our daily lives, the music industry. Let me start with a quick question. Raise your hand if you've ever grabbed your phone, tapped a screen, and instantly pulled up a song you love. Maybe it's a track to get you through a morning commute, or one that pumps you up for a workout. See? Almost all of us, this kind of ease feels totally normal now. But have you ever stopped to wonder? Before Spotify, before CDs, even before cassettes, how did people own or listen to music? The truth is, the entire history of the music industry boils down to one story, breaking down to big barriers, distance, and access. Let's kick things off with the era before the industrial age. Back then, music was purely a live art. There was no way to save it, no way to share it beyond the room where it was made. Think about 4,000 years ago, in Mesopotamia. Priests sang in stone temples, their voices echoing off the walls. If you weren't standing there in that temple, you'd never hear that music again. It was fleeting, tied to a single moment and a single place. Jump ahead to medieval Europe. Court musicians played for kings in castles, and folk singers strummed guitars or lutes in village taverns. But, again, no recordings, no playlists. You either heard the music live, or you relied on your memory to hum it later. Music never traveled far. It stayed locked within the small towns or communities where it was created. For most people, the only music they ever knew was the music of their own neighborhood. That started to change in the 9th century with the invention of music notation. Monks like Guido d'Arezzo created the staff notation we still use today. Those 5 lines that turn invisible sounds into something we can write down, copy, and pass around. Suddenly, music became a text, something that could outlive the musician who made it. Take Bach's The Well-Tempered Clavier, for example. After Bach died, his music didn't disappear. Thanks to notation, musicians all across Europe could copy his sheet music and play it themselves. But here's the catch. To hear that music, you still had only 2 options. Either you had to play an instrument and read sheet music, or you had to go to a live performance. Even by the 18th century, when sheet music started being sold in shops, it was a luxury. Only people who could afford instruments like a piano and had the time to learn to read music could enjoy it. Most ordinary folks, they were still left out. The real game changer arrived in the 19th century with mechanical recording technology. In 1877, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. It used a thin sheet of tinfoil wrapped around a cylinder, and you had to crank it by hand to play it. The sound was scratchy, muffled, and it only lasted 2 or 3 minutes. But let's not underestimate how big this was. It was the first time in human history that music could be played back without a live musician. You didn't need to be in the same room as the singer or the band. You could listen to that same 2 minutes of music again and again whenever you wanted. Then, in the 1890s, Emil Berliner stepped in and made recording even better. He invented the gramophone and the flat vinyl record. Vinyl was cheaper to make than Edison's tinfoil cylinders, easier to store, and most importantly, it could be mass-produced. By the early 1900s, companies like the Victor Talking Machine Company were selling millions of records every year. Think about what that meant for a family in a small American town, say, in Iowa or Ohio. They could buy a record of opera star Enrico Caruso or ragtime legend Scott Joplin and listen to it right in their living room. They didn't have to travel to New York City or Europe to hear world-class music. For the first time, music went from being a group activity, something you did at a concert or tavern, to something you could enjoy privately, with just your family. That was a revolution. Right after that, the 20th century brought another huge shift. The radio. In the 1920s, after World War I, radios got cheaper and more common suddenly. They were in living rooms all across America. Take KDKA in Pittsburgh, one of the first commercial radio stations in the US. It played live music and recorded tracks for free. Imagine being a farmer in Kansas back then. You might have never left your small town, but you could turn on your radio and hear New Orleans jazz, Chicago classical music, or a country singer from Nashville. Music wasn't just from your neighborhood anymore, it was from across the country. At first, record companies panicked. They thought, if people can listen to music for free on the radio, who's going to buy our records? But they quickly realized radio was actually a fantastic marketing tool. When a song played on the radio and people loved it, they'd run out to buy the record so they could listen to it whenever they wanted. Take Benny Goodman, the king of swing. His music became a national craze because radio stations played it everywhere. What started as a regional hit turned into something millions of people danced to at parties and clubs. Radio didn't kill records, it made them more popular than ever. Now, let's fast forward to the last few decades. The music industry has seen its biggest transformation yet, and it all centers around one word, digitalization. This isn't just a small change, it's a complete rewrite of how music is made, shared, and heard. First, let's talk about music creation. Not too long ago, if you wanted to make a professional sounding song, you had to book an expensive analog recording studio. We're talking $100,000 or more for a few weeks of recording time. You'd need to hire sound engineers, producers, and session musicians, all of which added up. It was a luxury only big record labels could afford. Today, that's all changed. All you need is a laptop and a digital audio workstation, also called Ada like Ableton Live or Logic Pro. A singer-songwriter in a small apartment in Berlin can record a vocal track in their closet. Hey, closets have great acoustics. And mix it to sound like it was made in a top-tier studio. Independent artists don't have to beg big record labels for money or access anymore. They can write, record, and produce an entire album on their own with a budget that's a fraction of what it used to be. And it's not just solo work. Digital tools have made global collaboration easy. Platforms like Soundtrap and Splice let artists share sound samples, record parts remotely, and work together, even if they're on opposite sides of the world. A producer in Tokyo can send a beat to a rapper in Toronto who adds lyrics and sends it back all in a single day. AI is also joining the creative process now. It can generate melodies, harmonies, even lyrics. But let's be clear, it's not replacing musicians. It's more like a creative sidekick. If a songwriter is stuck on a chorus, AI can suggest a few chord progressions or lyric ideas to get them unstuck. It helps artists work faster and experiment more without losing their unique voice. Next, let's look at music marketing. In the past, if you were an artist, your success depended on two things: getting your song played on the radio and getting your CD stocked in record stores. The problem? Record labels controlled both. If a label didn't pick you up, no one heard your music. You could be the most talented singer in the world, but if a label executive didn't like your sound, you were out of luck. That all changed in the late 1990s and early 2000s. First came Napster. Yeah, it was shut down because of copyright issues, but it showed everyone something huge. People wanted to share and listen to music digitally. Then, MySpace became a hub for independent artist bands, could set up a page, upload their songs, and connect directly with fans. No label needed. Then iTunes arrived, letting people buy single songs instead of whole albums, something listeners had wanted for years. Why buy a $15 album for one song you loved? Now you could pay 99 cents for just that track. Today, social media and video platforms have turned marketing upside down. Take TikTok. A 15-second clip of a song, paired with a dance challenge or a funny skit, can make an artist famous overnight. Let's say there's an indie singer from a small town in Australia. They post a snippet of their song on TikTok, and suddenly millions of people around the world are singing along, making their own videos with it. That's power no record label could have given them 20 years ago. Streaming platforms like Spotify and YouTube also use algorithms to recommend music. If you love indie folk, the algorithm will suggest other indie folk artists no one's ever heard of. That's a huge win for independent musicians. But there's a catch. Some artists feel pressured to game the algorithm. They shorten long intros, put the catchy hook in the first 10 seconds, or even change their sound to fit what the algorithm likes. Over time, this can lead to more homogenized music songs that all sound a little too similar. It's a trade-off between getting noticed and staying true to your art. Now, let's turn to the future. The music industry is moving toward being smarter and more diverse, and there are three big opportunities that are worth watching closely. First, AI-generated music and personalized playlists. According to the 2024 China Music Industry Development Report, 35% of people in China now use AIGC music tools. And this market has created over 15 billion yuan in new revenue. Tencent Music's AI Composer project, for example, has made thousands of tracks music for TV shows, ads, and video games. Some of these AI-generated songs are so well made, you might not even realize they weren't created by a human. On the playlist side, platforms like NetEase Cloud Music use AI to create custom playlists that feel like they're made just for you. It doesn't just look at your listening history, it can even pick up on your mood. Had a bad day at work? It'll suggest calm, soothing songs to help you unwind. Getting ready for a party? It'll cue up upbeat tracks to get everyone dancing. This keeps users on the platform longer, and it also gives small, niche artists a chance to be heard. If the AI thinks you like a folk artist from a small city in China, it'll put their song in your playlists, something that never would have happened with traditional radio. Second, VR virtual concerts. The pandemic pushed this trend forward, but it's not just a temporary fix, it's here to stay. Big artists like Ed Sheeran and Travis Scott have hosted virtual concerts, and millions of people tuned in. Travis Scott's concert in the video game Fortnite. Over 12 million people attended. the best part about VR concerts? They break down venue and location limits. You could be sitting in your apartment in Shanghai, sitting front row at a concert in London, and you don't have to pay for plane tickets, hotel rooms, or expensive concert tickets. You can even choose your view, fly above the stage, stand next to the drummer, or hang out with other fans in a virtual lobby. The immersion is unlike anything a traditional concert can offer. Experts predict the VR concert market will grow by double digits every year, and it'll soon become a major source of income for the music industry. Third, blockchain for transparent royalty payments. This one's a big deal for artists, especially independent ones. Let's talk about the problem with traditional royalties. When your song is streamed, the money has to go through the streaming platform, then the record label, then the music publisher, before it finally gets to you. That process takes an average of 45 days, sometimes longer. And if there's a mistake in tracking who owns the song, which happens more often than you think, you might not get paid at all. Blockchain fixes this. Every time your song is streamed, it's recorded on a digital ledger that's permanent and unchangeable. No one can fudge the numbers or hide royalties. And smart contracts. They automatically send the royalty money to you right away. No waiting, no middlemen slowing things down. The International Music Publishers Association says platforms using blockchain now pay artists in real time. For an independent artist who relies on royalties to pay rent or buy new gear, that's a total game changer. Of course, with all these new changes come new challenges. Let's be honest, it's not all good news. First, there's too much content. Every day, thousands of new songs are uploaded to streaming platforms. So much music is being made that it's hard for any single song to stand out. Attention has become the new currency in the music industry, and it's harder to get than ever. Second, algorithms have become the new gatekeepers. Instead of record label executives deciding what's popular, it's algorithms. If an algorithm doesn't pick your song, even great music can get lost in the noise. Third, artists now have to be jacks of all trades. You're not just a musician anymore, you're also a social media manager posting content, engaging with fans, a data analyst tracking how your songs perform on streaming platforms, and a community manager building a fan base. It's a lot to handle, and it can take time away from what you really love, making music. If you're an independent artist or a small label, here are a few practical tips to navigate these challenges. 1. Build a content matrix. Don't just post your full song and call it a day. Make 15-second hook clips the catchiest part of the song, share behind-the-scenes videos of you recording, or post Q&As with fans. Then, put this content on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Different fans hang out on different platforms, meet them where they are. 2. Keep your art, but tweaked for accessibility. If you love long, slow intros, I get it, they can set a mood. Try cutting them down to 10 or 15 seconds. Why? Because on streaming platforms, people skip songs fast. If the hook doesn't hit quickly, they'll scroll past your track. But don't change your sound completely, just make sure your best work is front and center. 3. Work with small, niche influencers. Instead of trying to book one big influencer with 1 million followers, partner with 10 to 50 small influencers, those with 10,000 to 50,000 followers who love your genre. A small influencer who's passionate about indie rock will promote your song harder than a big influencer who doesn't care about your music. Their audience trusts them, so their recommendation means more and it's usually cheaper, too. Let's wrap up. When we look back at the music industry from you had to be there to listen anytime, anywhere, from only a few can create to anyone can make music, technology has always broken down barriers. It's made music more accessible, more democratic, and more connected. But here's the thing that never changes. Music's power to move us. A song can make you cry, dance, or remember a moment you thought you'd forgotten. It can bring people together, even when they're miles apart. Technology changes how we make music, how we share it, and how we experience it. But it can never change that core magic. The future of music isn't just about flashy TKI, VR, or blockchain. It's about using those tools to make music more human, to let more people create, more people listen, and make sure the artists behind the music get what they're worth. If we can balance technology and art, if we don't let algorithms overshadow creativity, then the music industry's best days are still ahead of us. Thank you so much for listening.